So now Stefan Geens will give us a short tour in the House of Sweden before Carl Bildt is coming here and will open the new premises.
Yes, thanks. I just want to actually let you know quickly what we're actually doing here. We're having a live streaming video of what's going on here, which is going through a server at Kubrick, which is then being sent out back into Second Life. And it's actually not just visible here, well, here, yes, of course, but also to everybody visiting the House of Sweden, Second House of Sweden now in Second Life, but also on Second Sweden. So this feed is actually being shown in lots of different places in Second Life live. There is, however, a 12-second delay, as you can see, because I'm not actually saying what I'm saying on here. But everybody in Second Life actually gets to see this with 12 seconds delay. So for them, everything looks completely normal. We're just the ones that are where it's all a bit weird. What I was thinking of doing is I'm going to go do a quick tour of the two sims, the two islands, big islands that we built. And I want to start it by, okay, I'm going to be flying around. So if you're here, now I'm talking to everybody at Second House of Sweden, the sim. If you want to see the tour, you want to stay here at the auditorium, because if you leave it, then you're not going to be able to see what I see. So anyway, that's just for people in world. Basically, what we wanted to do was build something that looked very much like Sweden. And so with Söderhavet here in Stockholm and with Electric Sheep Company in New York and Washington, D.C., we really spent a long time really working on what, or actually discussing what makes something Swedish. What is Swedishness? How do you define it? How do you describe it? How do you program it? And how do you turn it into something that basically looks like Skärgården, the Stockholm archipelago? And so this is basically some of the result of the landscape that we built. But where I'm flying to, in fact, is over here, because one of the things that we wanted to make sure is possible is that it's very easy for people who've never been in Second Life before to log on. And so what we've actually done is, if I'm now going to go to Sweden.se, which is basically the main page for the Swedish Institute, where we talk about Sweden, present Sweden. And there is now a web page called Second Life, where it's very easy to basically build your own, well, create your own account and get your own avatar, and that's free. And so basically many of the over 20,000 visitors every day to this website will have the opportunity to basically just log on. And what happens after you do that is you actually start right here. And of course, most people who have never been into Second Life don't actually know how it works, what keys you use, that sort of stuff. So what we actually have here is a very, very quick tutorial. And as you can see, basically, the second step is already you get told how to move your keys, and that's just the arrow keys. So you then just walk on to the next station. And at this moment, you probably don't know yet you can fly, so you'll be walking. And then here you get the second station. Here you get to find out what the shortcuts are for looking around and that sort of stuff. So you get a kind of a crash course in how to navigate Second Life. I'm now just going to fly because it's a little bit faster. And as you can see, basically, people who are brand new to Second Life are going to be able to walk towards the embassy off into the distance, all the while learning how Second Life works, because we don't want to assume too much. And then by the time they get here, they're going to figure out, for example, how you can change your looks, because as you probably saw just before, everybody who is in Second Life, people tend to have a very, very unique personality, and they express it through their avatar. So there are basically two main buildings, and you've already seen one, which is the auditorium over there. And then this is the Second House of Sweden, which is inspired by the real House of Sweden in Washington, D.C., which was inaugurated in, I think, August or October 2006. And, well, for example, the flags, instead of the United States flag here, we have the Second Life flag, as it is kind of a metaphor for Swedish representation. What I want to do is go a little bit, show you the different things that we've made. We have lots of different exhibitions and content available, and they kind of fall into different categories. For example, the first one I want to show is we have a lot of content at the Swedish Institute already. For example, recipes. We have photos and fact sheets and that sort of stuff. So all this information has already been made. So what we've tried to do, what we wanted to do, was actually have a new compelling way into this information. And for example, what we have here is an exhibition of Swedish food. So you have stekt strömming, for example, silltallrik, you have köttbullar. But basically, just making this stuff, although it is technically very interesting to see how Electric Sheep actually managed to make this together, put this together, that's really not the exhibit. What's actually interesting is when you click on it, you then get not just a serving, but also you get a web page. You get to go to the web page where you have the recipe. So we're serving virtual food in Second Life, but we're serving the real recipe in First Life with the hope that people will actually then go further and cook it themselves. You also get to keep a version of it. It's in my inventory, and as you can see, I've been eating a lot of these. So then, if you just put it on, you just drag it to yourself, and now I have a plate of. Oops, let me just navigate so you can see. Yeah, there's my köttbullar, which I'm kind of not holding straight, but I'll be walking around with that. Maybe I'll fly around a bit. So anyway, so this is a place where you are, let me close this, where basically everybody gets to learn about Swedish culinary classics and also get the recipes and get their own virtual plate full of food to eat or not. Then, so I'm going to fly around a bit now. I'm going to go into the embassy from behind. Actually, let me just show you what the embassy looks like from this side, because there's a nice picturesque view just over here. These are all furniture by IKEA or by the Trä- och Möbelförbundet. So you can see they're all based on authentic models. But what I want to show you was here. This is a little bit what the House of Sweden looks like from this angle. And now that I've done that, I'm going to walk in. I'm going to fly into the back. What I want to show you next is how we've managed to use our fact sheets and turn them into something that is a lot more compelling, a lot more an easier way into the information. And these are over here. So welcome to the embassy, by the way. This is all basically the design, all the textures and everything is actually taken from the actual House of Sweden. So what I'm going to show you here is the fact sheets that we have. For example, film in Sweden, and these they get actually loaded up into very high resolution. We have here's actually an architecture fact sheet which happens to have the House of Sweden on it. Art in Sweden, and of course, if you click on them, you get to download the fact sheet as a PDF. So this is another way into getting to information that already exists, and that was basically a more compelling way. And then there's a third way. There's a third kind of exhibit that is like this, and this is here. And what we did here is late last year we asked for pictures by Swedes and also foreigners, but of Sweden, and we put these up on Flickr, and we took the 60 best images of these, and we basically made an exhibit of them here. And the great thing about these is that these are royalty free. We bought the rights to them, so anybody can use these for any kind of project that they want. And so these change every 20 seconds or so. So basically it's a slideshow. And when you've seen all 60, you've had a very good idea, I think, of what life in Sweden can be like. But again, once you have it, you click on it, and you go to the Flickr page for this, where you can basically download the image, a high-resolution image for free. You can see all sizes, and you can do with it what you want. So this is another way of basically helping people, if they want to promote Sweden, they don't have to go and spend any money. All the content is right there for them. So those are the three kind of pre-made items. Now there's a lot of whole new stuff. The person you see there, Exhibit Kid, is actually Joachim Eriksson. He works at Nationalmuseum, and he's, if you will, the curator of the paintings that the Nationalmuseum has loaned to the Second House of Sweden. And what Nationalmuseum does, in fact, is one of their roles is to send paintings to all the embassies, Swedish embassies all over the world. And so, to continue that metaphor, if you will, we also have virtual copies of these paintings here on loan. And I am going to show you some that are here. For example, I believe this is a very famous one right there. And there. So there's about 12 of these around the house. And of course, once again, if you click on them, here you now get actually a detailed explanation in English about the specific painting, where it comes from, that sort of stuff. Oh, and even in Swedish, I see. So this is really a brand new way of experimenting art. Experimenting with showing art. You don't actually need to leave your apartment or your house, and so you know if you have trouble moving around, you actually have no problem whatsoever now in seeing really high resolution images of some of Nationalmuseum's best paintings. Now I'm going to go a little bit and show you another thing that's over here. So let me just walk over. So if you see, a lot of the posters that are here are actually posters that you have back in the room as well. So we took a lot of the content that we have and repurposed it and put it into a kind of 3D environment. This here, by the way, is another thing that that embassies do, Swedish embassies do around the world, is support Swedes in that country, whether it's businesses and or individuals. And so in a way, the Second House of Sweden also fulfills that role in the sense of that we want to support all those Swedes who are in Second Life right now. And for example, so these are, if you will, teleportation stations. You get landmarks to these plots, so you can easily get there. So if you visit the House of Sweden, for example, you will now get, if you click on here, you get the location of this place. And we've done that basically. I've collected every single Swedish location that there is at the moment, and fully expecting there to be a lot more. So then, the future will be here's Sydsvenskans, Sydsverige. So let me keep on walking with my köttbullar. What we have here also, so like I said, we have furniture from IKEA and TMF, but some of this stuff you can also take with you. So if you have a virtual home in Second Life, you can now furnish it with some furniture from IKEA or TMF. And as I said, all the furniture you see here in the House of Sweden is made from plans from that sort of furniture. So, and now I'm going to show you the there's now two exhibits that, so everything that we see now really is either repurposed content or stuff that is relatively, well, it's hard to do, but it's straightforward. What I want to show you now is some really cool stuff. The GeoGlobe is, well, basically this lets you see every single location of every single embassy, Swedish embassy. And what I'm going to do is when I click on this, we're going to teleport up into the world. Let me see where I am. Yeah, there we go. And so we're now actually inside a huge globe. Let me zoom out. As you can see. And what's really cool about this is that every dot that you see here is actually, oh, let me just, I think my mouse just gave up. That's what we have backup for. Okay. Okay. So basically what you have around here is you have every single embassy. And so what happens, we have every single embassy and consulate in the world, Swedish embassy, has a website attached to it. So for example, if you click on one now, you're going to go straight to the page attached to that. So this is one very easy way to navigate geospatially. For example, Riyadh. Again, it's very simple. Up. And then you see, it looks like the embassy switchboard is out of order in Riyadh. That's good to know. So this is the GeoGlobe. I'm now going to teleport back. You just click on this thing here, and I'm back where I started. So this is something that's quite unique. And I'm now going to walk down to the, I'm keeping the most impressive for last, if you will. I'm going to go to the Raoul Wallenberg exhibit, which is here in the back. We walked by it. And basically, the Open Society archives in Budapest have a lot of have access to a lot of Raoul Wallenberg's archives, and currently there is an exhibit, a real life exhibit that shows a lot of his contents, and so they came to us with an idea, which was, can we have this virtually reenacted? And that worked out really well. So I'm going to basically, what I ended up doing is building a room that reenacts, that rebuilds his offices. You can see humanitarian affairs, but in Budapest in 1945 on January 16, which was the last day of his freedom, the day before he the Soviets arrested him and he disappeared. And so what we have in the room is basically all the original content from his diaries, the Schutzpass, which was the protective passes that Budapest Jews had to avoid being sent to concentration camps. And so all this content is actually based on original content. Here, for example, are all the safe houses, the Swedish safe houses. And that is an actual map, which we put on the map. Now, the thing, it's not just this room. What we actually also have is we had an actor. Basically, there's a whole text attached to it. I'm going to play it now and see if it works. And this is a radio play, if you will, but you're actually inside the room while you're listening to Raoul Wallenberg speak, an actor playing Raoul Wallenberg.
Yes, I am back, Hedda. Let's keep on writing. Where did we stop? Yes, it will be difficult to leave after the Soviet occupation. When I wrote this a few days ago, the situation was risky and tense. German patrols and Arrow Cross thugs were roaming around Budapest, beating, torturing, and shooting people. Among my staff alone, there had been 40 cases of kidnappings and beatings. I know how you feel, Hedda, but we need to finish this report before the chauffeur arrives. Circumstances are equally confusing now. Several days after their intrusion, we are under the protection of the Soviets. Tomorrow, on the 17th of January 1945, I will be escorted to their command center.
So, and there's a lot more of that. So basically, it reenacts exactly what is going through his mind at the time, and based on actual commentary and actual writings. What I just wanted to show you also is that everything here again is linked to a web page that gives you more information about it, and so it's all very again interactive, and you can learn a lot more. So this room is really just a starting point for learning much more about Wallenberg's work. And with that, we're pretty much coming to a good idea of most of the stuff that is available here. We also will be having Swedish radio, English language radio playing in the second house of Sweden. So when you show up and you press on the play for sound, you will get to hear English language music. So let me just fly around. Shall we? It's time to go further. Is Carl Bildt here?